Congressman Steube.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, as a veteran who served in Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, to compare postal workers to our military service members in Iraq or Afghanistan, quite frankly, to me, is offensive. Last time I checked, postal service drivers weren't getting their vehicles blown up by IEDs or being shot at as they drove around and delivered mail. So to try to compare our military service members who sacrificed on the battlefields across this world to our postal service members is frankly offensive as a person that had served. It's unfortunate that there are Democrats on this committee that have 100% politicized the Postal Service to try to stoke fear with the American people. But we shouldn't be surprised. It's a familiar theme for Democrats over the last 2 years. A subcommittee chairman of this committee, when asked on national television, and I quote, "Are you saying, say it directly, is this an attempt by the president you believe to interfere in the election?" The answer was absolutely. There is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that President Trump is using the Postal Service to interfere with the election. None, in fact, quite the opposite. But Democrats don't care about the facts. So here we go again. Seems like just yesterday we were hearing how the Trump campaign colluded and conspired with Russia to interfere with the last election. And when the facts actually came out, there was no evidence that that ever occurred. This is absolutely a concocted narrative by the Democrats to stoke fear in the American people, just like the Russia collusion hoax. Financial issues have plagued the Postal Service for decades and is vastly in need of reform. Mr. DeJoy just stated that $10 billion loss a year. Businesses couldn't operate that way. But the Democrats don't want real reform. If they did, they would have worked with our witness today. They would have worked with Republicans in crafting a bill. They would have worked with our counterparts in the Senate. They would have worked with the administration to actually come up with reform that would actually pass. This is a political stunt to further the Democrats' newest interference hoax. I represent 9 counties in Florida, and just last week we held our primary elections. Florida saw the largest turnout in a presidential election year primary since 1992. That was 18 years. About 2.3 million mail-in ballots were cast, which made up about 59% of all ballots cast. Initial reports indicate that there were minimal issues with the additional ballots handled by the Postal Service. There were no issues in my 9 counties with absentee ballots in this district that I'm aware of. Mr. DeJoy, would it be fair to say that the Postal Service successfully delivered during the Florida's primary last week?
Yes, sir.
The 2.3 million mail-in ballots that were cast in Florida are a significant amount for one state. What are the factors that led to the Postal Service being able to deliver the substantial increase in mail-in ballots on time?
When it comes to ballots, the Postal Service, prior to my arrival and the heightened awareness of this particular election, throws everything it has to at moving ballots through the system. The ballots are usually identified with special markings, and every employee is very much, and manager is very much focused on making sure that ballots move quickly through the process, sometimes in advance of first-class mail. So those particular processes were deployed and will be deployed as we come into the 2020 election.
And Florida has, am I correct in stating that Florida has a reasonable time frame for Postal Service to return the ballots, as opposed to some states that just allow ballots to be requested at the last minute, therefore delaying their ability for the Postal Service to get those ballots to the precincts in time?
Thank you sir. And that is a big part of the effort of the Postal Service prior to my arrival and since my arrival, and the purpose of sending out the letters to all the states with regard to what we just want to make everybody aware of what is it that will really work. We can put all these additional processes on, but it would be more helpful if we had reasonable standards from the election boards that comply with our processes to enable us to do it more efficiently and effectively.
So to clarify, do you need any additional funding to be able to successfully deliver ballots in Florida this November?
No, we do not, sir.
Are there any lessons that other states can learn from the way that Florida handles our ballots in absentee voting?
Well, I'm not particularly familiar with Florida, but our general counsel, and has put out letters with regard to each state's election guidelines. We have a website that's just been posted on the normal process, and in general, I will say on behalf of 650,000 postal workers, get your ballot early and please vote early, and that is just common sense. But if Florida had Florida had a good process, so I'm sure their electoral board procedures were good. We can't do this all by ourselves, so we would appreciate every state's help in reviewing their standards and and taking the advice of the Postal Service General Counsel and what's on our website.